Ever heard of Special Forces? If you have, you know they're some of the toughest units around. If not, don't worry. By the end of this video, you'll know all about them. How did they become the elite units we know today? Get ready to uncover the history, the advancements, and the future of these extraordinary warriors. Early beginnings. The idea of special forces really took shape during World War II. Before that, most military units were big groups of soldiers fighting on large battlefields. But during this war, a need arose for small, highly skilled groups that could perform special missions. One of the first and most famous of these groups was the British Special Air Service. They were formed in 1941. Their main job was to sneak behind enemy lines and cause as much trouble as possible. They would blow up enemy supplies, gather important information, and disappear before anyone knew they were there. Their tactics were all about stealth, surprise, and speed. Meanwhile, in the United States, the Office of Strategic Services was created. The OSS was the forerunner of today's CIA. These guys were trained in everything, from parachuting out of planes to hand-to-hand combat. They even learned how to use explosives to sabotage enemy operations. The OSS would drop these small teams into enemy territory to gather intelligence and support local resistance movements. These early Special Forces units were very different from the regular army. They had to be smart, tough, and able to think on their feet. They operated in small teams, often behind enemy lines, and used unconventional tactics. This was the beginning of modern special forces as we know them today. The Cold War era. As World War II ended and the Cold War began, the world saw the rise of new global tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. This period, lasting from the late 1940s to the early 1990s, was marked by the threat of nuclear war, espionage, and numerous proxy wars around the globe. During this time, the concept and role of special forces underwent significant evolution. One of the key developments during the Cold War was the establishment of the Green Berets, officially known as the United States Army Special Forces, in 1952. These elite soldiers were trained for unconventional warfare, which means they were experts in guerrilla tactics, sabotage, and helping local resistance fighters. Their motto, De Oppresso Liber, which means to free the oppressed, reflects their mission to support freedom fighters in various parts of the world. The Green Berets became famous for their operations in Vietnam. They were sent to train and lead South Vietnamese forces against the communist North Vietnamese. This required not only military skills, but also the ability to work closely with local populations, understand different cultures, and build strong relationships. Their work was as much about winning hearts and minds as it was about winning battles. Meanwhile, the British SAS, who had gained fame during World War II, continued to develop their skills. They became involved in various counterinsurgency operations in places like Malaya, Oman, and Borneo. These missions often took place in harsh environments like dense jungles and arid deserts. The SAS became experts in jungle warfare, long-range reconnaissance, and hit-and-run tactics. Their motto, "Who dares wins," symbolizes their fearless approach to dangerous missions. During the Cold War, psychological operations also became a critical part of Special Forces tactics. This involved using propaganda and other psychological tools to influence the enemy's decision-making and undermine their will to fight. Special Forces teams were trained to use radio broadcasts, leaflets, and other methods to spread misinformation and demoralize enemy troops. The Cold War era also saw the rise of specialized units like the Navy SEALs, formed in 1962. SEALs stand for Sea, Air, and Land teams, highlighting their versatility and ability to operate in any environment. They were created to conduct direct action missions, gather intelligence, and perform reconnaissance in coastal and riverine areas. Their training is among the toughest in the world, preparing them for the most demanding and dangerous missions. The Cold War era was a time of significant growth and specialization for special forces. Technological advancements in the late 20th century. This era was a game-changer for special forces, thanks to amazing new technologies. First off, helicopters. Before these whirlybirds, soldiers had to march long distances or use trucks and boats to get to their missions. But with helicopters, special forces could fly right to the action. They could sneak in, do their job, and fly out before the enemy even knew what hit them. Imagine the surprise of seeing a helicopter swoop in, drop off a team, and take off again in a matter of minutes. Next up, let's talk about weapons. The M16 rifle became a favorite during the Vietnam War. It was lighter and more accurate than older guns, which meant soldiers could carry more ammo and hit their targets better. Plus, they had cool new gadgets, like the M79 grenade launcher, which was like having a mini cannon you could carry around. These weapons gave special forces serious firepower. One of the coolest advancements was night vision. Before this tech, fighting at night was super risky because you couldn't see much. But with night vision goggles, soldiers could see in the dark like cats. This made night missions way safer and more effective. They could move under the cover of darkness, see their enemies first, and strike without being seen. In the 1980s, the U.S. took a big step by creating the United States Special Operations Command. This organization brought all the Special Forces units together under one roof. This meant they could share resources, train together, and plan missions more efficiently. It was like having all the best teams working together as one super team. One of the top-notch units that came out of this time was Delta Force. These guys were the best of the best, trained for the toughest missions like counterterrorism and hostage rescues. Their training was intense. They had to be expert marksmen, masters of hand-to-hand combat, and great at close-quarter battles. Delta Force quickly earned a reputation for getting the job done, no matter how tough. Another elite team, SEAL Team 6, was set up for similar high-risk missions, especially those involving water. These units had the latest gear, from cutting-edge weapons to advanced communication devices that kept them connected even in the trickiest situations. These advancements not only boosted their success, but also paved the way for even more amazing tech in the future. The modern era, 21st century, where special forces have become cooler and more high-tech than ever. Let's explore some of the amazing gadgets and gear they use today. First up, drones. These flying robots are like something out of a sci-fi movie. They can zip over enemy areas without putting any soldiers in danger. Drones are great for spying on the bad guys, finding out where they're hiding, and even taking them out with super accurate strikes. It's like having eyes in the sky and a secret weapon all in one. Next, we have communication gadgets. Imagine having a walkie-talkie that works anywhere in the world, even in the middle of nowhere. Modern special forces use advanced radios and satellite links to stay in touch, no matter where they are. They can share important info right away, making sure everyone's on the same page and the mission runs smoothly. Body armor has also gotten a serious upgrade. Today's armor is lighter but super tough, protecting soldiers from bullets and shrapnel while letting them move fast. Their helmets are like smart helmets, with built-in radios and night vision, so they can see in the dark and stay connected. Now let's talk about something straight out of a superhero movie, exoskeletons. These are wearable robotic suits that make soldiers stronger and less tired. Imagine carrying heavy gear without breaking a sweat. While still in testing, exoskeletons could make long missions much easier and more effective. Training has gotten a high-tech boost too. Special forces use virtual reality and augmented reality to practice their skills. It's like playing a super realistic video game where they can prepare for any situation without any real danger. And we can't forget about cyber warfare. Special forces now have teams of cyber warriors who protect their computer networks and launch attacks on enemy systems. They're like digital ninjas, hacking, disrupting communications, and gathering intel from the web. As we look to the future, one thing's for sure: special forces will keep getting cooler and more advanced, always staying a step ahead of the game. So next time you hear about special forces, remember, they're not just a military unit. They're a symbol of strength, strategy, and the power of innovation. The evolution of special forces is far from over, and the best is yet to come. But we want to hear from you. What do you think the future holds for special forces? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think about all these mind-blowing advancements. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into special forces, don't forget to hit that like button and ring that bell so you never miss an update. We've got plenty more exciting topics coming your way.